Okay, I'm going to do a short video here showing you how to, we're going to do two things. We're going to put in the trigger spring for the competition spring kit for Apex, and then I'm going to put in the aluminum AEK trigger, or trigger kit. So first we're going to start by taking down, this will work for any of your M&P line. This is the 40 core Pro frame, but you take your takedown lever and lift up slightly, and then pull, and then when you rotate it out, and when you get to the end, you want to rotate your lever down, and it comes out. There's a little retention spring right in here, and there's a little gap here. That's when you want to get it down so that it will clear your retention spring. The next thing you want to do is take out our retention pin. So find a punch here, right size, and take out our retention pin. Okay. And we want to take our trigger pin out, and this needs to go out from right to left. It only goes out one way. You'll see here as I get it out. It's slightly larger on one side than the other. It's got a flat surface, so it only goes in one way. It goes in from left to right, it comes out right to left. And then we can take our whole assembly out. And you want to be careful of this pin, this retention spring or pin here that's for your takedown lever, not to lose that. And then we can lift out our whole trigger assembly and our slide lock levers, or lever. And we can take all of that out of our firearm. And then the next step here, I'll show you how to switch the spring and the trigger out. Okay, so now what we're going to do is remove our slide locking bars, and we have a small, take our spring out, trigger spring, and what we need to do is we want to move our trigger bar from our trigger. I want to work this pin out. Don't have to work it out all the way, just enough to take the trigger bar out. A little bit more here. Okay. And just getting real close. There we go. I put that. I actually did work it out all the way, but I'm going to push it back in there. So hold it. So we've got our trigger disassembled, and here I'll show you here's a little difference between. Here's the aluminum Apex trigger compared to our plastic factory trigger. You notice the Apex trigger is a little more square. You got your safety release there and your trigger release. You notice it also appears to be much wider than the original factory trigger. A little bit thicker. So now we'll work on reassembly. Okay, so we're going to put our trigger bar in. This already comes with the pin already started in. So what we need to do is get our trigger bar in here, and we just want to get this started enough that it catches the trigger pin, or the trigger bar. Once we get it protruding through enough, should hold our trigger bar in place so we can finish drifting it all the way through. I just don't seem to be quite getting it in there. Okay, once you get this worked in, you just want to have it indented just a little bit on each side. So we'll work it in just a little bit more, real careful. This pin is really tight. I'd like to have it recessed just a little bit more. You can. Okay, just have a little recess on each side. I'm going to make sure our trigger bar moves freely. There's not any binding. And I've got it slightly recessed on each side. I might just tap it just a tad bit more. And I think, yes. So now I got it kind of recessed about the same on each side. So the next step we need to do is we need to put our apex trigger spring on, and you want to take the open loop, go through with the open loop up through the hole and in, and then there is a plunger, special plunger here. We're going to go through to line up our trigger spring until we get our bar assembled. Actually one up before you put this in. You want to get your slide lock bar installed. Put in our retention, get the spring lined up, get our retention. We'll plug here, put in, and lined up. There we go. And that'll hold our spring in place until we can get the trigger is reassembled into the pistol. So I'm going to put this in. We're going to get our trigger bar in the sear. Put this in. Okay. I'm going to check our functionality here. Looks like we're in place. We want to get our retaining block in. Get it in the right direction. So we want to get this flush. We can get that flush so we can get our retaining block in. Okay. Now, on a trigger bar, we want to put it in from left to right with the large flat end on the left, and we just want to start working that in. everything lined up. Push out the temporary retaining pin or plug they provide. And we're going to check our functionality. Seems to be engaging the C.O.R.E. If we push it back to the right, we should hear the C.O.R.E. reset. Right. The C.O.R.E. resets. Alright. We want to put our pin back in. And might get a punch here just to get a little bit recessed on each, so it's a little recessed on each side. Real close. Make sure we have a little bit of recess, looks like, on each side. Just tap it back just a hair. Okay. And then we want to put our takedown lever back in. So I'm going to start it with it back, up, through, and go down slightly, up. Okay, and our takedown lever is reinstalled. The reinstall is complete. The next thing we want to do is we want to make sure, out pushing on the safety bar, make sure that our trigger does not move back any at all. And then with the trigger safety pushed in, we can engage the trigger. Without it, you can see trigger's not engaged, so we know our trigger safety is working properly. So now we want to reassemble firearm here, and we want to make sure now that we need to check the safety, the C.O.R.E. reset. There's a little loop on a trigger bar. Sometimes you have to, you can look at the video on how to do that if it needs to be done, but the Apex has a video on how to do that. You might have to change the angle slightly depending on the firearm of that loop on the trigger bar for the C.O.R.E. to reset properly. So we're going to and looks like we're going to have to do that on this. I don't hear the C.O.R.E. releasing or the trigger reset.